We are recording. Welcome. Hey, Danny. Hi, Bianca. Hi, Lexi's here. Janet is here. Let's see who else is here. Mompreneurs on Fire is here. CR Thelen is here. Awesome. Cool. Yeah, can you guys see my urn with Erika sign?
That's awesome. I love that.
Thank you. Hey, Danny. Hey, Lexi. Hey, Saad. Yes, I got my sign from Subi. So, you guys, I'm so excited to have my awesome friend Heather here today. She is such a rock star. And if you don't, I'm going to let her introduce herself because I probably will do a hack job at that. But today we're going to talk about, honestly, like our backgrounds, our cultures. I'm half Colombian. I have German in me, Dutch, and Heather will tell you about herself. But we had this conversation when we were in LA together a couple weeks ago, right, Heather? We were like talking about our backgrounds, and to know me, you know that I'm all about helping my people stand out online. And I thought to myself, like, why not bring this part of you, this like, you know, your cultural background, like who you truly are. I'm all about authenticity and transparency. Like, why not bring that into your brand? Not to like leverage it and make money off of it, but so that you can have a way to connect with people. And I think that's really powerful. And I want to hear from you guys in a little bit, like, you know, what is your background? Who are you? And maybe if you have some specific questions, but Heather, I want you to like talk about you. Tell us about you and who you are and why you're so awesome.
You're so sweet. So thank you, first of all, for having me on this Blab. I'm so excited. This is my first Blab. So I'm pretty stoked to be here with you, ErikaSheffer, amazing online biz coach. So yeah, I am Heather Rebecca Wilson. I'm a multicultural women's success coach and motivational speaker. And I empower women through spirituality, culturally competent personal mastery, and financial success. So a little background about me. So I am multiracial, and my mom's from the Philippines, but she's mixed with, Native Islander, Chinese, Italian, and Spanish. And then my dad he self-identifies as African-American, but he's mixed with Irish and Cherokee and what else? Yeah, no, that's it. But anyway, so yeah, I'm multiracial, and my core story, which I share with everybody, is really about growing up multiracial, and yeah, my identity development as a multiracial person. It's really that's my core story. So that's where, that's how I became the person I am today. Is like I had to kind of move through some issues that I had as a kid growing up, like kind of by myself as a multiracial person without like a positive,
totally,
like a role model to show me how to embrace my identity. So
yeah, I love it. I think that's such a huge part of, like, you know, when we become entrepreneurs and we're like so visible online, and we do Periscopes and we do Blabs, and we're like doing, you know, posting photos of ourselves everywhere, and we're like being super visible and vulnerable. Like, I think that it is a huge identity, right? Like, we all have to really own who we are, and we all go through this journey. I know that I did. It was like, how am I going to show up online? And it was kind of scary. And it was like, you know, how much do I talk about myself, or how much do I share on like who I really am? And there's so many like emotions that come up, and you know, your whole background and who you are is like such a big part of it. And I think that it's something that can differentiate you, and it can also unify you with your people. So I'm so excited to see 13 people on right now. Blab is so new that when you have 13 people on, that's pretty freaking awesome. So
yay, Erika!
awesome. Especially for me, this is my second Blab ever.
I love it.
Newbie. So I want to talk about you know, hear from you. And I actually wrote a couple of questions down, Heather. And if anyone has any questions, they want to pop them in the chat box. Like, you know, where are you from? What's your background? How can you implement that in your branding? Like, for those of you who do know me, you know that I love branding. That's a huge part of what I help people with and master in their business. I think like bringing your ethnicity into your brand is huge. Janet says that she's half Ecuadorian, half Dutch, German, Irish, Italian mix.
Ooh, love it.
Love it. I got some Dutch and German in me too. And I've told Janet before that my sister-in-law is from Ecuador. So it's super, super cool. So I want to hear from you, like, have you always been, Heather, like super open about your multiracial background? Has this always been something that's been a conversation, or like at one point, which I know the answer, but like at what point, share with everybody, like what point did you say like, wow, like I'm going to actually own this and start talking about it and create a conversation around it?
Okay. Well, so basically up until I was about 9 years old, I noticed that I had, all sorts of people in my family, right? Like I had white people in my family, black people in my family, Filipino people, and that was awesome. But I just was like, oh yeah, I'm like everybody else. And like, this just happens to be my family. I didn't think like it was a good thing or a bad thing. I was just like, this is the way it is. And then so when I was about 9, I noticed at school that like a bunch of my friends were going to this cotillion sort of thing, this dance class every month where they would like learn ballroom dancing and, manners and blah, blah, blah. So sorry, the lights just went out. But anyway, so I was like, well, I want to be part of this class. Like, how do I, join this class? And so my friends tell me you need to be invited. So I'm like, okay, well, let me tell my parents that I want to be invited. And so I told them, and they're like, well, let's see what we can do. And so a little bit later, a few days later, they get back to me and they're like, we talked to Mrs. So-and-so, and she says that, maybe you can be invited next year. So I was like, okay, that's kind of weird. Like, maybe I can do this next year. All right. And then I find out from my friends, who again are 9, that they don't allow black people in this dance class. Okay. And obviously they hear that from their parents, right? So, and it was okay with everybody, right? So, I mean, that was really a defining moment in my life when I realized like, wow, like I'm not a part of this group. I never will be a part of it because of who I am. There's something about me that I can't change that's bad, right? Like, so that's what I internalized, right? That I wasn't good enough. And then the next step that I took in my own mind was I need to be perfect in order to be loved. And so I think for like a few years after that, I was kind of like struggling with my, racial identity issues. And this is like really young, by the way. This is like 9, 10 years old. And so like at the school that I went to, like in 9th grade, a lot of African-American students would come into the school. And so I was really looking forward to starting high school. And like, I was like, I'm going to be accepted by my tribe. These are my peeps. They're going to love me. I'm finally going to like feel like I belong. And then I remember I went to a BSU meeting and people, like I knew people in BSU, and I went to a really small, like basically like all white school. And I walk in and they're like, what are you doing here? Like, you're not black. Like, we didn't know you were black. And so of course, being like a really insecure 14-year-old chick, I just like bolted and I was like, I can't take this, like I thought that they were going to accept me and they didn't, and so I think it was just too much for me to handle. And so I kind of retreated into this overachiever identity where I was like, I'm just going to be perfect. And basically that was the limiting belief that was running the show up until I was about 34, 35 years old. And then finally, when I realized what I was doing, that's when I just started owning this, like that was like a very, very traumatic experience for me. And I had to process it. I had to make peace with it, and my life basically exploded from there because that was the main thing holding me back, that I wasn't good enough, and that's why I became a coach. And this is, and this is really infused into my brand. And I think this is what is making me stand out in the marketplace, honestly.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love that. That is so, I mean, I can relate to that in so many levels. A lot of people don't know this about me, but my dad comes from an entirely deaf family. So everybody speaks in sign language, and it's a very, very close-knit group of people in the deaf community. And my dad was the only hearing person in his family. So in that family, we are very different because I'm hearing. And so like, there's this like, growing up, there was a lot of like, a lot of prejudice against me and my brother and even my mom because we were hearing. And so like there was that side of things. And then my mom's side her family, obviously my mom's Colombian, and like we were these, like they call me gringa, like because I have fair skin and I was whiter than all my family members. And my older brother, who is my half brother, he looks like 15 shades darker than me, and like so I was so different than them. And so within my family, like there was no group that I could identify with. And the story that I got then with my family was that I was really different, which that was cool with me for a long time. But then in my community, so I live in Pennsylvania, and that's where I grew up for the majority of my life, and went to a really small private school, was involved in a really small church, like growing up. And I've always been very colorful and like, you know me, Heather, like I'm like loud, and I just kind of like talk a lot. And in that community, I was like too much. So it was like in my family, I was so different. And then in my community at school and like the things that I was involved in growing up was like the curricular activities were that I was too much, too much. So Erika, tone it down. Don't be so different than everybody else. And once I started seeing that, like I started doing some work on myself and seeing, hey guys, thanks for joining. I started seeing like myself actually doing that in my business and online, being like holding myself back because I had that story of like, I'm too much or I'm too different. Once I just was like, who cares? I'm over that story. Then I was like, everything totally changed my business. Everything in my life totally changed. Even my relationship with my husband, like totally different when I just was like, I'm going to be exactly who I am and exactly who I want to be. And that's really like the core message I want to share to everyone today is like the reason we're talking about this, like, you know, your cultural, which you don't hear this kind of topic come up a lot, I think in at least our circle of business, is because like you're supposed to be exactly who you are. Be exactly who you are. Own it. Bring it to your business, bring it to everything that you do, and watch how things change and watch how your business explodes and how people love and respect you for that, because that's what everyone wants to feel. Deep down inside, we're all like, we just want to be ourselves and be accepted for that. So love that. That is so powerful. And I totally relate.
I love that you brought up this story about you know, your dad's side of the family being composed of like, you know, hearing impaired people, right? Like that, I didn't know that about you, but that's actually, you know, when we talk about our cultural backgrounds, like that definitely plays into it. Like, yes, that's not about race and ethnicity, but our identities are made up of all these different dimensions, right? It's like our values, the language that we speak growing up, our religion, our gender, our sexual orientation, our learning style. I mean, all of these things compose who we are. And I think like when you're looking for stories to relate to other people, especially to your ideal client, like you should look along those dimensions because those are the most powerful ones, right? Like this is who we are. This is how our identities develop. So yeah, it's a culture. It's like it's a big umbrella of things, right? It's not just race and ethnicity. It's a lot of stuff. It's ability too.
Wow.
So
yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. That's really important.
No, totally. I love that you pointed that out too, of like, okay, when people, I see people are commenting here. I want to like read that for a second. Someone said, Janet said, my family called me half-breed gringa. Yep, I relate. I'm the gringa in my family too. Outside of my family, everyone tells me to stop talking too fast and immediately think I'm Puerto Rican. I love it. Lexi said she had to go. Bye, Lex. Thanks for being here. I know you're Tashiata said, I think we all have experienced this to some degree. I grew up Nigerian in a place where a very small Nigerian community. You know, it's funny because growing up, because in this community I was so different, I gravitated towards like one of my best friends was from India. Her family was from India. They were immigrants from India. My friend Sarah, she was Indian. And then my other best friend was a Marathi and she was Nigerian. So one of my best friends, who else? And then I had one of my other friends, Priscilla. She was Costa Rican. So like all my best friends growing up were so diverse because that's the only place that I felt really like accepted, because in everything else I was so different. Moms on Fire said, we had this convo about being who you are. It is so important in life as an entrepreneur. Trying to please and conform to everyone and everything leads to you being lost within yourself.
Totally.
Yes. Power stuff. So talk to me about what you think, Heather. You just pointed out like the whole target market thing, like how you can relate to your people. Like, can you speak to that a little bit more on like how we can use our cultural backgrounds to like relate to more people or relate to our ideal clients or that kind of stuff? Like you mentioned that, and that was really powerful stuff. So any more thoughts that you have on that, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think that, you know, just, yeah, to reiterate what you said, that people, you know, consumers are really savvy now, and they're looking to connect with people who are real people, right? That are authentic. And when you kind of look at your own story and use this framework, right, these dimensions of identity to kind of, you know, figure out like what were the defining moments in my life along these different dimensions, like I said, socioeconomic status, race, ethnicity, religion, gender, like all these different dimensions of identity. Look there for the stories, because storytelling is just so powerful, right? Like it bypasses the logical brain and goes to the emotional part, and that's how you connect. Like that storytelling is so important. So yeah, I would just say that, you know, when you tell stories that go deep like this, you penetrate that target market even deeper, right? But you also have like a wider reach too, because like Joseph Campbell said, like what is most personal is most universal. So yeah, it's all about just being like yourself and being a real person. And when you talk about these things, like how you grew up and the kind of food you eat and all the different things that you gravitate towards, you know, and your family structure, that's another dimension of identity. But like when you talk about those things, it makes you a real, like fully fleshed out person. Yeah.
I love that. And that's like, I tell my clients all the time, storytelling, like when it comes to your marketing, which is just your communication with your ideal client, like you want to be so more can be real and just share a story with someone they're going to relate with, the more successfully that you're going to be. Coach Bianca says, and the stories you tell yourself build your identity. Stories are very powerful. Yeah, they're so powerful. And what you said is so true. Like it just bypasses the mind and it goes to the emotion. And I mean, we all buy things. Like we buy Tom's shoes because we know like there's an emotion attached to it. We go and like, you know, go buy, you know, ethically sourced coffee because we know that there's like, it's serving people in a better way. Like you know what I mean? So like when you can, and it's not to be like to position it and be sneaky and share your story so that people buy your stuff, but it's like, you want to have a purpose. You want to give people a powerful purpose behind buying, and it's going to get people to be more passionate about what you're doing. And if you want to create that, you know, I'm all about creating movements, and I'm all about creating like being standout online. And there's so much noise, there's so much clutter, and if you can share your story and also add this cultural piece, I mean, that's just way more powerful in my opinion. How about like branding? What do you think about branding? Which I want to quickly share a story on branding. Like for me, I just recently and Heather and I, we were in LA together with a bunch of our friends and we were there for a conference and spent some good quality time there. It was really awesome and fun. And we both got photo shoots done in LA, which we're so excited about. For those of you who follow me on Periscope, you know that I gave you a little sneak peek of what my photo shoot looks like, and you've probably seen my picture. But one thing that I brought to when I talked to my photographer on wanting to do a new photo shoot was because I wanted to bring more of myself and my cultural background, like who I really, really am. And it wasn't relevant. It wasn't apparent at all in my branding. And so that's something that I think it's funny because I had somebody email me and I had somebody on Facebook comment, and they were like, I hope you don't take this wrong, but now that we've seen your pictures, your new pictures, your new branding pictures, we feel like we relate to you so much more. And like, we get to know who you're like so much more. So that's exactly the point. I didn't take that by offense at all. I wanted that person, I was like, thank you for telling me that. That was the point. And that is why, you know, when I talked to the photographer, it was like, hey, this is really important to me. We went to this home that had like a bunch of Spanish tile, and there's like color is so important to me. And I wanted to bring more of that into my brand. And my photographer got all this cool Spanish tile in the background of the pictures. And like, so that is going to bring such a different level to my branding that I know is going to allow me to connect with my people in such a deeper way. So like, can you speak to that? Like, how do you feel about, you know, you're bringing your cultural background, which your branding like is phenomenal. I'm obsessed with it. The blues and the greens, like the colors are so gorgeous. And it's just so, it's so stand out to me, but like, you know, can you speak to bringing your cultural background into your branding?
Sure.
Like, what are your thoughts?
Sure. Well, I'm so excited to see the rest of your pictures, by the way. I'm so excited for you. Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, because I was exposed to different cultures growing up, I am naturally curious about other cultures, and I love travel because of that, because I love to have new experiences. I love to meet new people, and I'm an artist too, so I need to see like new stuff all the time in order to get inspired. So like that, you know, that's in my branding, right? So, you know, my Facebook group is like the glamorous global entrepreneur. So when I was, you know, setting up my photo shoot, I mean, yeah, I wanted to use my brand colors, but, you know, I looked at like, you know, using like funky, you know, prints and different textures. What else? I mean, I don't know. It's like, it's kind of hard to explain because it's so intuitive for me right now. But yeah, I mean, I think as much as you can bring of yourself and your personality and your family history and all of your interests into your branding, the more authentic it's going to come across. I hope that helps. But yeah, it's so intuitive for me now. I'm just like, oh, I'm just doing it.
Yeah, no, totally. That's how I feel too. You know, growing up, like everything in my family was so colorful on my mom's side. And I truly identify more with my Colombian culture because there is some color in it. It is so vibrant and stand out. Like I love that. And I really identify with that. So that's some stuff that I want to bring into my branding. And that, you know, that's why I got that photo shoot done. It's like, I want to show people that side of me. And I think it's just way more fun. Can't wait to see your photos, Erika. Thank you, Janet. Does anyone have any questions? Like, how do you guys feel about this conversation? You know, I know this is pretty, like, I don't see a lot of people talking about this. And I think it's just, I think it's brilliant. And I'd love to hear you guys, you know, if you have any questions or you want to just like get on and talk, I can unlock the seat and have some people jump on. We can do like 3, like one person at a time though. I don't want it to get like too wrapped up because I know Blab can get pretty intense if we get too many people on here, and I want to be conscious of everyone's time. If anyone wants to get in the hot seat here and talk about, you know, how you can bring more of your ethnicity and more into your branding or into your business, like, let's talk. Someone said this is extremely important because, as you said, no one talks about this. Yeah. And it's like, no one talks about it, but we all have different, like, cultures. Like, we all are from somewhere, like, you know, none of us are all just straight up one thing. Like, we all come from somewhere. We have a C, and it's like, we can bring that to the table. Coach Bianca said, never really thought about this topic. Really got me thinking. Thanks.
Erika, can I jump in here 1 second?
Yeah.
I just wanted to share some statistics with you guys. So like in 2000 was the first time that multiracial people could self-identify like in a public forum. Like you could check off more than one box. That's the year 2000. Okay. So they did it again. I know. And then again, you know, we do the census every 10 years. And so I was actually a census worker in 2010. And so when they got the results of the census, basically the multiracial population had grown by 30%. So the multiracial population in the US is the fastest growing population. Okay. And also by the year 2042, whites are going to be the minority in this country. So basically, yeah, I know. I just think it's so weird. Like we're not talking about this when this is something that's huge, that's changing the country. It's like the browning of America. Like everybody's mixed, and it's a beautiful thing, and we should embrace it and celebrate it and not be afraid to talk about it. I think some people feel like, oh, you shouldn't talk about differences, but you should. You really, really should, because you're actually not seeing like the whole person if you're not recognizing and acknowledging the differences you have, right? We shouldn't use them to like divide us, but we shouldn't ignore them either. Does that make sense? I just wanted to like insert that in there.
No, I think that's brilliant. I think that's so helpful to know. I didn't know that the 2000, like that statistic that you said. That's crazy. I know growing up, I remember every time I had to fill something out for school or like even college applications, I remember being like, well, I'm not Caucasian and I'm not, I was like, wait, this is, what do I do? Because there was no one circle for me and that I identified with. And so like, that is really powerful stuff. That's really powerful to know. Wow.
Yeah, we're busting out of all of these categories that they've made for us, right? Like we don't fit into any one category and it's awesome, right? So I don't know. I just think it's the next level. It's awesome.
I think it is too. Oh my gosh, I love this. I love it. Okay, well, do you have anything else that you wanted to like really bring to the table and talk about in this topic, or do you want to start bringing some people on? We can bring a couple people on and have them, ask some questions. Bring someone on?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. All right. So I open the seat. So Tashiata, you can go ahead and hey, awesome. This is so cool.
I know.
Gosh, I love it. All right. We should be able to hear you and see you. I did accept. Okay. Tashi, tell us.
Hey.
Hey.
Hi. Thanks for being here.
Oh,
welcome.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Tell us how to say your name. I want to make sure I get it right.
Okay, so Tachiata is actually a mashup of my nickname and my middle name. My name is Tachi, so that's fine.
Tachi. Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Well, thank you for having. First of all, this is really important because you're right. Nobody ever talks about this side of it, and it's extremely important. I had a question for both of you. Do you think, and you mentioned, Heather, the browning of America. Do you think that the issue is that people are afraid of the browning of America? And as we usually do, we don't talk about those things that we're afraid of. We brush them under the rug and they come out subsequently in not so great ways. So do you think that there's that fear of the browning of America that's the problem?
I think that's part of it. I mean, I would be lying if I said no. I mean, I'm not afraid of it. I think it's going to be fabulous. It's awesome. But I think there are some people who are afraid, and it's just because people fear change,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Wow. Thank you. There is one other thing that I wanted to say. So in terms of using ethnicity or using a cultural background to help, I think it's totally fantastic when you do that. I don't think you should ignore, because that's part of you. So for me, I mentioned that I'm Nigerian and I have several things that I do, but one of them is I have a t-shirt line. And I mentioned the fact that my logo and everything comes from my cultural background. And I think that people really want to know who you are and know those different sides of you as a business owner. It makes them connect with you a little bit more. So that's one thing that I do that, that you've both spoken to, that I actually incorporate that in everything that I do. And I talk about it. So I think it makes me a little more relatable to people.
Totally. Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah.
Tell us more what you do, Tachi. Like what? So you have a t-shirt company. What else do you do?
Oh Lord, I would be here all day. But I have the t-shirt company. It's actually the whole family thing. It's a hand painted t-shirt, dresses and bags line. Plus, we do handmade products made with shea butter, so all West African thing. I'm also a filmmaker, so a friend and I have a production company called Conscious Thought Media. So we produce films and media, and we have 2 Periscope shows and things that we do. So I'm also a dancer, choreographer. So I'm just an artist, and I like to produce. So
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
So that's me.
I love it.
So thank you for giving me the floor.
Absolutely. This is what it's all about. I love Blab for this reason. Like you can get on and add to the conversation and it's not just one person speaking at everybody else. Like we all get to talk about this and how it's impacted our life. And, that's so neat. Like what with your logo, just that fact that people are responding to that. Like that to me is really cool.
Definitely. They always ask me, well, what does this mean? So I go into the whole story of where it comes from and all of that. And they're like, that's really cool. Because I think that people really want to connect with culture. Nobody just wants to float out there without a sense of who they are or a sense of who other people are. Background and culture is so important. So I think this is, I give you kudos and bow for bringing this topic up. And by the way, Erika, you are a fantastic host.
She is, isn't she?
Yes.
She's amazing.
Yeah, I'm also a professor of communication, so I notice these types of things. So fantastic job.
Thank you. You really do it all, Tachi. Holy cow.
It's called adult ADHD, I think. Forgive me if somebody really does have that, but I seriously think I do, because I can't just do one thing. That's just me.
I relate. Totally
I do too. I'm multi-passionate. I know Erika is. Erika's so talented. She can do so many different things. So it's cool. I love it.
Yes. Well, I'll leave the seat for somebody else who wants to come in.
Before you do, can you tweet us your logo? Because I'm wanting to see it. So when you get off, tweet us. I want to see it. So I can see what people are asking about.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you a little bit about it. So in Eastern Nigeria, there was a system of writing called either Uli or Uri, depending on what dialect of Igbo you speak. Yeah. And so it's kind of like they did with henna in the Middle East and in India. And they used to put it on themselves and on their houses, before Europeans came and said it was barbaric. And so they kind of stopped doing it as much, but it's something that is culturally relevant. And I said, well, instead of picking something that is not culturally me, let me dig into the history of Igbo culture. And I took 2 Uri symbols and put them together, and that became my logo. So that's a little bit of background for when you see it.
How cool.
So cool. I freaking love it. You're awesome. Well, please tweet it to us. I want to see it.
Thank you. I'll send it.
Okay.
Yay.
Being here. Thanks for sharing part of this conversation. I love it. Thank you so much. Love it.
That was awesome.
I love Blab, you guys. Look how we can just this conversation. Does anybody else have anything they want to add? Bianca said, I think Erika has found her platform. Blab is her sweet spot. Maybe it is. I like it. I'm going to have to do some week blabs. Would you guys be cool with that? If we brought on some more peeps on Blab each week? I love it.
I'll be watching you on Blab.
What?
I'll definitely be there. This is fun.
Hey, Saba. You guys want to know, though, I have to give Saba credit. She just joined and she's out Blab. Bowing humbly, Tachi said, thank you. You're awesome, Tachi. Yeah, I'm totally giving all credit to Saba because she was the one who introduced me to Blab.
Awesome.
I asked her, I was like, what's this Blab thing about? And she gave me the lowdown. She told me we were on the phone and she told me the whole deal on how to use it. So clap emoji for Saba. So yeah, I love this conversation. I think that it's so important for people to know command control space for emoji in the chat. No way. That's okay. That's good.
Nice.
Good to know. I know that you can do you can also do what is it? The slash Q or slash question, and it'll pop up and say question next to your question if you want to get the attention of the people in the Blab. But yeah, I love this conversation. I'm so glad that people are totally cool with us talking about this and they want to be involved in this conversation. For me, I was a sensitive, and so the comments from my family I took to heart. And it was hard for me to be like, hey, I am Latina. I can relate. I think I live in a very, I lived in Miami for a year in college. And I felt so at home there. I literally didn't know anybody except for one guy from college, Dirk, and he said he'd introduce me to his friends, and he didn't. So I didn't really know anybody when I moved to Miami, but I felt so at home in Miami because there were so many people. Bye, Saba. Thanks for joining. Thanks for saying hi. Have a great day. But I felt so at home there because it was so culturally diverse, and there's Colombians and Cubans in Miami, and so I can relate. Janet, where do you live? Where in the country do you live, or where in the world do you live? I think where you live is also matters, because if you're like this person who just wants to bust out of, you're in Lancaster County. Oh my gosh. I knew that, Janet. So Lancaster County, is not too far for me, Heather. It's like,
yeah, I've been to Lancaster.
It's not far. It's like 2-3 hours from me. And I mean, if you've got the Amish people as your neighbors, and they're probably not going to be like, it's a little bit not culturally diverse there.
I totally see you in Miami, by the way, Erika, because Miami is so like sexy and colorful, and people are they just want to have fun and they want to party, and you're so fun. I mean, it totally makes sense. We should take a vacation there.
We totally need to. Oh my
gosh. Let's go to South Beach. I'm not kidding.
I'm not kidding. Well, we're moving. So for anyone who doesn't know this, but me and my husband are moving to Florida, to South Florida in which I'm so freaking excited about, because again, like, it's just culturally diverse. There's so many different people. That's like, I know you mentioned this earlier too, Heather, like that's why I love to travel so much. I love to go to new places, submerge myself in the culture, eat what the people eat, learn the language, do what they do, not be a tourist, like really be integrated in that culture, because I'm so fascinated by cultures. And I think it's like, the more we can appreciate other people and what their lives are like, the more we can have an open mind to other people. What do you think about including religion? If a religion is really important to you, like, why not? I mean,
that's how I feel too.
For me, I feel like if it's really important to you and it's a huge part of your life, then talk about it. The people who don't resonate, it's cool. They won't resonate. They can keep moving. But the people who resonate with who you are, then they're going to like totally, they're going to be your people. That's how you build your tribe. That's how you build like your community of people who are so dedicated to your message, and they're excited about what you do, and they follow you, and they're like on every single platform. Like on here, I have a couple of people who I know you guys are on doing my challenge. You're like on Scope, like you're everywhere. And then like, that's how you share more of yourself, who you are. And that's how you get those lifers.
I also think, Erika, that like when you're holding back, people can feel it energetically too. They're like, something is not gelling here. So yeah, I think when you hold back a part of yourself, people can feel that too. That's the only point I wanted to make.
No, that's so true. It's so true. What do you think about like integrating? Dean asked, like, what do you think about that?
About integrating your religion?
Yeah.
I totally agree with what you just said. I think if it's an important part of who you are, then definitely incorporate it, but if it's not, and you're just incorporating it to incorporate something different, it's going to come across as like fake or inauthentic. So only if it's like true for you, and you got to really get in touch with yourself, right? It's knowing who you are and what your values are. And
yeah, totally. Like, exactly. What are your values? What are your core values into your business of who you are? How are you going to create a conversation around it that makes also sense? Like there's parts of us that, like, for instance, I'm a big time, like, guys, for those of you who really know me, I do CrossFit, and I'm like really intense with my workouts. Like, that's awesome, and I love it, but I don't really bring that much of that into my business, because I mean, besides me being like this fierce person, which I talk about, like, the fierce female entrepreneur, like I talk about that, but like that to me is like, how is that really going to help somebody? I'll talk about it, or I'll throw up on like my Snapchat, if you follow me on Snapchat, me working out or something just for fun. But again, like, I think about it, like, how is this going to relate to your people, who you truly are? And if like that's a huge part of you, and you feel like, if you're a health coach and like you showing other people that you do CrossFit or you go do Pilates or whatever, like that's going to help someone else, and show it. But also think about how these parts of you are going to impact someone else's life in a positive way, and someone who follows you, that kind of stuff. Like, I think it has to be relevant too,
Totally. Absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely. It all has to tie back to your purpose and your mission and the vision that you want to create as an entrepreneur. Absolutely.
Totes. Love it. Also, talk to me. I mean, I think this has been a great conversation. We've been on here for a good amount of time. If nobody has any other questions they want to hop in, that's totally cool. I know this is like one of our first blabs. But hi to the new people who have just joined. But like, I want to hear, like, what do you have going on, Heather? Like, what's the next step for you? How are you? Because I mean, you guys know Heather, for those of you who just joined, you know, you may not know that like Heather, this whole cultural thing is a huge part of her brand and her business and how she coaches people, which is just absolutely brilliant. But like, talk to me. What's next for you? What are you working on?
So I have an online course launching in about 2 weeks, and I don't have a URL for you yet, but it's called Master Your Mix, the Multicultural Woman's Guide to Success. It's a 4-week telecourse, you know, so you'll call in, listen to me for an hour or so, and then there'll be some Q&A afterwards, and then people will get worksheets. And I think the first few people that sign up, if you sign up early, you'll get some private coaching from me, which will be awesome. But I'm really looking forward to it. I've been working hard on this for a long time, and it kind of brings together like all of my experience working, you know, in diversity and inclusion in independent schools, my coaching skills, my background in leadership development. I'm super excited, and spirituality. So that's what's coming up. So for sure, check that out. I also have a free training called Growing Up Multiracial to Global Woman Entrepreneur. So that is, it's heatherrebeccawilson.com/Growing Up Multiracial Global Woman Entrepreneur. But yeah, definitely go check that out. But it's a cool video. There's a nice PDF that goes along with it that highlights, you know, the main points of the training. But yeah, you'll get to know me, but I think the strategies that I share really will help anybody.
Awesome.
Reach their personal, professional potential. But yeah, thanks for mentioning that. But yeah, master your mix.
Master your mix. I love that. You need to like tweet us a short link later so that people can like maybe tell everybody. You guys need to all go on Twitter and
I'll put the bit.ly in there. Sorry, I got it.
There you go. So people can check that out. Janet says, "Oh my God, that sounds so awesome! OMG, that's
yay!"
Awesome. I know, right? That's freaking awesome. I love it. But for anyone who does, I don't know, can people watch the replay on Blab? Can someone tell me for those of you who Bianca says yes, you can watch a replay. That is awesome. Christine says yeah. New here. You guys are educating me. Thank you.
Yay.
For anybody who gets on the replay and is watching the replay and they're like, they missed this opportunity to ask questions because I put it on the record. Thank you. Good to know. Good to know. But if anyone's like watching the replay and they like are dying to ask a question, can they go and tweet you? Can they tweet Bob and ask you anything?
Are you asking me? Who are you talking to?
I'm talking to you.
Oh, if people have more questions, yes, of course they can tweet me. Absolutely. And I've got a Facebook group. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, cool.
You can also email me directly too. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, you can throw that out there if you want to and let people know. But if people are, you know, wanting to talk to Heather more and you guys are like wanting to master how you're going to I mean, this is Heather's expertise. Like she's brilliant at this. I only hang out with really brilliant people. So, I crack myself up, but that's why I brought you on because you're just like freaking awesome and you're crushing it. I love this whole topic and people need to learn more about it and they need to know how to do this in their business.
Absolutely.
Someone wants to know, Heather, what's the name of your Facebook group?
Oh, so it's here. It's called the Glamorous Global Entrepreneur. I'm also presenting at a conference in Tampa, Florida in early December. So I can meet you in South Beach after that, by the way. But yeah, I'm doing a presentation on the impact of storytelling on diversity work. But again, it's just this whole storytelling thing. It's so, so powerful. And your stories will resonate so much more. They're going to move people more when you talk about this stuff. When you talk about these different aspects of identity and your defining moments. It just makes you so much more relatable, so much more real. And I love, Erika, that you're like bringing like more color into your brand, more textures, more patterns. I mean, just more of yourself. It's just awesome. I can't wait to see the rest of your pictures.
I know.
Here. Sorry, it's hard for me. I'm like typing and talking at the same time. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Tachi said she lives in South Florida, so maybe she can join and come. Are there gonna be tickets sold for this event, like for people to come listen to you, or how's that go?
It's run by the National Association of Independent Schools. So yeah, I think you can buy tickets. Yeah, it's NAIS. It's called the People of Color Conference. It's mainly for educators and for students. But yeah, I mean, diversity practitioners do some of the most rewarding work in the world because it's very similar to coaching, but it's also the most draining work because you have to manage so many people's triggers. It's very emotional. So it's a talk for them to help them kind of like,
Well, Tachi says she's a professor among many.
She
might fit into that.
Right.
The educator group of people. So that might be perfect. Awesome. Well, Tachi, reach out to Heather. And if you're in South Florida, you're not far. Go link up with Heather. But I want to like be a fly on the wall and hear this conversation because I love it. I think it's like brilliant. #Brill.
Yeah, I may have to record some of it and post some of it for sure. But yeah,
like
we'll figure it out.
Like be Periscope while you're on stage.
That is awesome. I like that idea. Erika, you're so creative. These are so many good ideas.
If you want to master Periscope or like this live stream stuff, that's what like I've been doing so many case studies right now to teach my clients how to do it because it's been such a huge part of my business. Like
I love Periscope. I love it.
Oh man. And now this is something that I want to start because I want to, I'm just going to totally throw this out there and tell the universe. My intention is to start a podcast channel really soon.
Nice.
Start multi-purposing. Again, like for anyone who's on here, you guys, and you know me, you know that I talk about being a really smart entrepreneur and multi-purpose or repurpose your content. Mm-hmm. And, so if you're going to do a Periscope, record yourself. If you're going to be, I want to do these blabs and actually record, like I would love to, for when I do have a podcast to do some kind of interview again with you, like it would be so much fun. But that's something that I'm looking forward to doing. And Janet said, I love your work. I was president of the Spanish club in college and sat on diversity panels for the Board of Education. That stuff made me feel alive, totally awakening stuff in me right now.
Yay. It's really important work. I mean, it feels like I'm not a religious person, but I'm definitely a spiritual person. And it feels like it's God's work, because we're teaching people to be culturally competent, which means like being able to relate across differences effectively with curiosity, humility, and non-judgment, right? And so it's just seeing people for who they are and the beauty in everybody and not getting caught up in like making judgments about them just because they're different. So yes, diversity work is like huge. It's a big deal. So good for you for doing that stuff.
Awesome, Janet. You're a rock star. We are uniquely positioned being multiracial. Yes.
Totally.
Well, I hope this has been helpful for you who have been on and for anyone, it says 90 viewers. Does that mean that can someone tell me? It says there's 10 now watching, but 90 viewers. What does that number mean? Can someone tell me? Someone said, Erika, you can do a scope and record it for the podcast at the same time. Then you can edit out things in the podcast. I think that means overall.
So awesome.
So are there 90 people listening right now? So Renee wants to pop in. Do you have a couple seconds? Then 90 people have watched this. Okay. Do you have a couple minutes to talk to Renee?
Yeah.
We can bring her on.
Totally.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi, Renee. How are you?
I can't hear you guys that well, so can you hear me?
Yeah.
How are you?
Okay. Sorry. I was just feeling like, how it is to be newly addicted to Scope and Blab, right? So, I was trying to see if Blab, you can get it on your phone. So it's like, I'm listening to you guys and participating, but then I was like, well, what's this Blab about? And can you get it on the phone? So another Blab's going on. But I wanted to tell you, Erika, I follow Shalane Johnson. She's my mentor, and she's doing podcasts on iTunes. What she's been doing, and she's been doing that for over a year, but for the past month or two, she's been addicted to Periscope. And So what she's been doing on some of her Periscopes is that she has a separate microphone, and I'm not sure what else. And so what she does is she actually does a scope the way you normally will and interacts with the people that are on the scope with her. She tapes the whole entire thing audio-wise for her podcast. And then she has an assistant, a virtual assistant, go in and edit the podcast to take out the extra stuff from the scope session, like extra comments or questions from people or whatever, unless she wants that question to be in there. So if she wants the question to be part of the podcast, then she would read that question out loud and then answer it. Whereas anything else that she wants taken out of there, you, or if you have an assistant do it for you, can have that stuff edited out of there so that the podcast still goes smoothly and comes across professionally and has all of the important information that you wanted to share via the podcast. Without having to do it twice.
That's brilliant.
I like that.
I love that. And that's a really great idea. I think I would need to, that's probably too much work for my VA, but I mean, I know that I can outsource to somebody to edit that.
And I'm thinking that what you were saying was
on Periscope too.
Huh?
What was that?
Your other question about the 90 viewers, 8 watching. I think every time someone comes in and out of a Blab, it counts as a viewer.
Got it. Okay.
If somebody comes in, hey, let's find out what they're talking about. Oh, I'm not interested. Or, I got to go pick up the kids. They leave, but it still tracks it that you had a viewer. But at the moment, and in this moment, it was 8, but now we got a new viewer. There's 9 that are watching live at the moment.
Got it. Okay, awesome, Renee. That's super cool. Love it.
So if you want to follow
Okay, cool.
Shelley
I mean,
Johnson,
this seems pretty straightforward. Good idea, though, for Christine said if you're literally connected to your home network via an actual wire. I don't know what that means.
I don't know either. But if you wanted to follow Shelley Johnson, you can go to ShelleyJohnson.com to see what all she does, because she does a lot of personal development and business development and teaching people how to do that. And she has 2 podcasts, one that's mostly about everything in life and one that's business. And I just noticed last night that on the business one called Build Your Tribe, there is at least one podcast that talks about this kind of topic. It'll say something about like how to Periscope. Yes.
This one, the Build Your Tribe?
Yes. Yeah. If you go look in there and you just scroll through the different podcasts that she's already released, I noticed that some of them had the word, at least Periscope in there, but probably also podcasting.
Cool. Awesome. All right.
And then her other one is called the Shelley
Thank
Show.
you, Renee.
Her other one that's about everything in life is called the Shelley Show, if you're interested in that too.
Okay. Awesome. That's super helpful. I'm going to check that out because it's brilliant. I'm all about being smart. And so having one microphone here to record a podcast and then actually Periscope, I like it. I can totally get behind that.
And she
Good
scopes
idea.
every day.
Thank you.
She scopes just about every day.
Yeah, I watch her Periscopes. I'm very active on Periscope, so I definitely watch her Periscopes.
So have you seen that she actually is approved by Facebook to do the live streaming because she's a verified account? And she could get reach of hundreds of thousands of people on Facebook, but she still likes Periscope better.
Yeah, she said that. Yeah, you have to. I emailed Facebook. I'm like, when am I going to get the mentions? They're like, keep working on your numbers. I was like, okay, I got it. But I did hear Shelley say that it's a little bit. I was hearing Marie Smith. She's Facebook expert, and she was that it's going to come to everybody else, but probably not for a while on Facebook. So use Periscope. I'm all about Periscope. I'm doing a challenge on Periscope right now. I love it. It's really great.
I was going to start doing a YouTube channel, and I decided that if Periscope is new and hot and happening right now, Shalene says it's always great when you can be an early settler at something. So don't worry about Facebook and the fact that you don't have access to the live streaming thing that they're trying to do to compete with Periscope. Yep. Just jump in, because like I've been on Facebook, but I've never really been on other social media like YouTube. And I'm like, when I heard about she was addicted to Periscope, I was like, Shalene, no, I'm already overwhelmed with social media. I don't need another platform. And then to find out a few days later about Blab, which she hasn't really mentioned yet. And I was like, really? Yeah. Like, really? I was like, really frustrated. I was like, please no. But now I see the benefit. So I just started scoping on Periscope so that I can start building my business. Why not jump in as an early settler and get your practice on how to be good on camera? Like, I still don't know where to look when I'm on scope so that it looks like I'm looking at the person, at the audience, instead of off camera or above my head or under. How do you guys do that?
I just look at the lens from my phone, I think. Erika, what do you do?
What you're saying, you're struggling with looking at people like when you're on Periscope?
Like for right now, I'm talking to you, so I have the tendency, I can see you. So I'm looking at you guys, but I know that anybody that's looking at me, I look like I'm looking down.
It's okay.
But if I want to look into the camera and look like I'm looking at the audience.
If we were like this, it would be creepy and like a little bit much. And I think like, no, you know, I'm doing Periscopes. Like I do my Periscopes. I tell my people, I'm like, I'm not going to look sometimes. I'm going to look away. I'm like a little bit ADD sometimes. And I tell my people, if I'm looking away, don't mind me. But I don't think it's that big of a deal. You just look at the camera or look at them and you're reading the comments, and sometimes that gets distracting.
No, I don't mean all the time. I mean, like, if I wanted to, because I let my personality show through. So, but sometimes you do want to get a point across, or you really want to feel like you're trying to connect. And you do want to, like, kind of like feel like you're holding their eye contact. Like you can really, you're really sharing. You know what I mean? Just like you do in regular conversations in real life, if you don't have eye contact some of the time, you can feel like the person's not really even paying attention to you. So I just mean like, right. I want to know how to do it so that when I want to be looking directly at them, I can look directly at them. And then the rest of the time I can just be normal.
I'm going to quickly answer this because we actually have to end the scope, and I don't want to like go too diverse, and I want to be like really conscious of everyone's time and also like the topic. Like if someone gets on, I want to make sure that they, you know, get the content that they wanted to get. I think that's like something really important for our followers. But I would say you can tweet me and ask me about that, or just like watch how Shalene does it. And I think like, how is she looking at you? Just look at, she's a pro on Periscope and on video. You know, she's your mentor. So, you know, like just watch how she's doing it on her. And I think that like, if you need to be, someone said, look at the camera to seem as though you're looking more straight on. So Bianca said that you can like look at the actual, like camera little thing here. You can do that. Or I would say not to worry about it too much, and just like if you have a conversation and if you're engaging with the people who are talking to you, that's connection. So I think use that.
Well,
but
we're going to wait for people to find me and to do that interaction. But thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, send me a tweet if you have any more specific questions on that. But I would say, you know, look at Shalene and how she has a really great, I'm sure you have the Periscope is dope thing. That's really good. My friend Zach Spuckler, Heart Soul Hustle. You can look him up, and he's a Periscope king. Heart Soul Hustle. I'll type it in the chat box. But he's really great on Periscope, and he would help answer any Periscope questions too. But I think you're so welcome. Good. All right, guys. Well, let's wrap it up. What do you say?
Let's do it.
All right. Thanks for being on here. You're such a rock star, and I know that this info has been super helpful for people.
I hope so. Yeah. Thanks for having me on here. I'm so excited for you. You're doing such an amazing job on all of this.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, if anyone wants to reach out to her, you know where to find her, right? You guys all have her information. You can go find her Facebook group. You're welcome. Thanks, Nia. You can go to Twitter. You can tweet us. Christine said she found your Facebook group awesome. If you guys want to find me, you know how to. Go tweet me. I am doing a Periscope challenge too. If you're like trying to get better at this whole making money online thing, find me. You can go to bit.ly/earn challenge. And yeah, link up with us. Let us know how we can support you. But thanks for being here today, Heather.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you for having me. Love you. You're the best.
Love you. Let's totally have a little girls' vacay in South Florida and go play.
I'm totally game. I'm so game.
All right. Love you, dear.
Okay,
Let's
love you. Okay. All right. Bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye. I don't know how to end this. I think
I'm just going to X out. I'm going to X out. Okay.